and welcome back to me. I was gone. And today I wanted to talk about the difference between falling asleep and staying asleep because they are very, very different problems and they ask for different solutions, not surprisingly. So, what's the difference? Well, I studied and taught and practiced Chinese medicine for decades, 3 decades. And so I come from that perspective. And from an Eastern medicine perspective, what we think of is if you have problems falling asleep, that's an issue with the blood. We call it blood deficiency. It doesn't mean that you don't have enough blood. You have enough blood, okay. But blood deficiency really means that the blood is not doing its job. What's its job? Well, it should be able to deliver the correct hormones and the correct everything, nutrients, all of that to where they belong. And sometimes the blood doesn't do that adequately. Okay. That's a blood deficiency problem. That's if you have problems falling asleep. So, how do you address that? Well, that would be mostly an issue of diet and supplementation. And there are specific foods in Eastern medicine that nourish the blood, and specific herbal supplements and vitamin supplements that nourish the blood. If, on the other hand, you can fall asleep like this, but you can't stay there, you're up in the middle of the night, like 2 hours later, bing, you're wide awake. That is a problem with what we call yin deficiency. Yin means concentrating energy. Energy is supposed to expand, go up and out, excuse me, in the morning so that you wake up and you go out into the world. It's supposed to go in and down at night, so you go to sleep. Sip of water is needed. Okay, so if your energy is not going in and down, that's yin energy. The up and out is yang energy. The in and down is yin energy. So if your energy is not going in and down, it's not concentrating, that's why you can't stay asleep. This is also one of the issues behind menopausal hot flashes. And sometimes that's the reason we're not sleeping, is because we're waking up hot. Now, your body naturally goes through cycles of warming up and cooling down and warming up and cooling down through the night. And when it warms up, you're not in REM sleep. When it cools down is when you can go into REM sleep. When it warms up, you come out of REM sleep. If it warms way up with a menopausal hot flash, you're not sleeping at all. You've come way out of the cycle. So this is one of the reasons they advise you sleep in a cool room, because you want to make sure that when you come out of that cooling down period, you don't get too hot. If you get too hot, you'll wake up. Okay. And there's a reason for this, and it's a whole thing with brain chemistry and what happens in the brain. Your brain literally washes itself free of toxins every night, but it does so in the cooler part of the cycle. So, and that is the yin part of the cycle. Okay. So if you don't have enough yin energy, you're not going to go through that deep cooling part of the cycle. Your brain is not going to wash itself of the toxins. You might be walking around with brain fog. Well, you will be anyway if you're not sleeping. I know this way too well. I've had those problems. That's why I'm here, because I have learned how to deal with this for the most part. Do I ever have a problem sleeping? Of course. Of course. But mostly, no. Mostly it takes me within less than 15 minutes to fall asleep. And what wakes me up is my bladder, usually. And I try not to drink anything within a few hours before I go to bed, but that doesn't always work. I'm taking my vitamins or whatever. So, my supplements. So, if you have yin deficiency, there are completely different herbs that you would want to take. And there's a diet for yin deficiency. And that is a different way to address that part of the problem. Now, a lot of people say, has anybody tried GABA? Or has anybody tried whatever? There's all the in melatonin, it doesn't work for me. GABA, oh, it was a horrible thing for me. What about, there's all these different things that people try because that's what doctors know how to do. It's that old adage, if you're a hammer, everything looks, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So if you're an MD, you're trained in drugs and surgery primarily. So if somebody comes to you with a problem, here's a drug or melatonin, take melatonin. Well, if your body is already producing melatonin, the melatonin isn't going to work. I know. I tried it. It didn't work. Okay. If, there's all these different chemical shifts that happen in the body. If your body the GABA is already working in your body, then the GABA isn't going to work. Okay. So, valerian, I've tried that. When I lived in New Mexico, it grew wild. And we would go out and pick it. And I only did that once because it tasted like rotten socks. I'm sorry, not going to do rotten socks. It's easier to take if it comes in a pill. But in those days, I was not doing pills. I was collecting my herbs in the wild and making tinctures and doing all of that. So it's a question of what is it that's out of balance? And in Eastern medicine, we start with the idea that what is out of balance is your energy. That's what's out of balance. You either don't have enough yin or your blood is not functioning as efficiently as it should, which is an energetic issue. Now, both of these can be addressed through diet and supplements. And certainly, yin deficiency can be addressed through the art of Qigong. Lots of people have never heard of Qigong, but a lot of people have heard of Tai Chi. Okay. So, Tai Chi is a martial art. I studied that too. It's a martial art, it's a beautiful martial art. Qigong is very similar, but it's a medical art. It's about how to shift the energy in the body. Okay. It's how to direct the energy, to move the energy. Why? Because we say that if your body is not functioning at its optimal level, it means your energy is out of balance. It's stuck somewhere. It's not moving. It's not flowing the way it's supposed to. So we practice Qigong. It's a moving meditation. For some of us, we can actually sit there and practice meditation. I don't sit cross-legged on the floor. I sit in a chair. It's much easier. My hips don't like sitting on the floor, nor does my butt. Okay. So there's all these different approaches of how to deal with your energy. It's not just the brain, although the brain is a huge part of it, but it's the whole body. It's the brain, it's the body, it's the emotions, it's all of that. And if you're not sleeping, it will have an emotional effect. Even if you don't start out with anxiety, you can have a little bit of anxiety at night before you go to bed, worrying about, am I going to fall asleep tonight? Oh my gosh, I haven't slept in 3 days or 3 weeks or whatever it's been. I can't sleep. Oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to, I want to sleep. You know, I know I have done that chant. But I have found that these other methods are way more effective. And it takes time. It's not like taking a pill, it takes a little time. But if the pills aren't working, then what do you have other than time? You may as well do it. I mean, you are going to be a week older, we presume, or 2 weeks older than you are today. Why not shift your energy? It's my personal approach. Okay, so that's what I have for you today, the difference between falling asleep and staying asleep. Very different issues, very different solutions. I have a website, East West Healing Space. It is still under construction, but I have some information there. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below. Let me know, is your problem falling asleep or staying asleep? That's what I want to know. I want to be able to address whatever your issues are. So if you'll let me know what they are, I can actually do something about it. That is, I can talk about it. All right. I will see you next week, right here, same time, same station, 11 a.m. on the West Coast of the United States, 2 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, and don't ask me about anything in between or another country. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.